Perfect. Okay, great. And so if anyone has any issues, feel free to log it in now. So basically, why we decided to jump online now was because I'm currently in Monterrey, in Mexico, and I saw many people that aren't meeting online, and I actually even saw a new Rotarian putting their hand up and saying, actually, I can't even get to my meetings anymore. You know, now I'm looking for another club. And I started thinking, actually, we've been talking about online meetings for a really long time, but there's never been like a real trigger to get going until now, where we're looking, you know, down the face of a pandemic, more or less, and we're thinking, how might we encourage some Rotarians who traditionally wouldn't be as open to meeting online? However, because of the, let's say, the structure of the coronavirus being, you know, issues, particularly with older people and respiratory issues, this affects many of our members. So this actually might be an interesting start for all of us. And so that Mark and I decided to jump online. Mark, before we introduce Jeffrey, maybe, did you want to say a few words as well?
Yeah, so I saw this post on Facebook by Brittany yesterday talking about this issue, and I just a couple of days earlier raised it with my own club that perhaps we should start looking at different ways of doing meetings. I've only recently started using Zoom for a podcast that I started recording myself recently, so I'm still new to it. I haven't worked out all the features, but it's just not difficult to set up a meeting. And for me, one of the most important things is to highlight to Rotarians that it's just not difficult to set up a Zoom meeting. It's all a matter of deciding that you're willing to try.
Sorry to jump in. I can't mute. I'm trying to see who I can mute, but I can't.
Yeah, someone talking in the background.
I have given them your phone number.
Hi, Mark. You can actually mute everyone.
I'm trying. Yeah, okay. I'm going to remove. Okay, there we go. I just muted one there.
Mute everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't this be great if we had this in a room Rotary meeting? We just muted people. This is imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, we would like to introduce our very dear International Director, Jeffrey. Did you want to say a few words, Jeffrey? We wanted you to jump in the call and give your 2 cents about what it means for Rotary to our current situation and maybe the opportunities that we have.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Hello, everybody. And I'm glad this is being recorded. And if you're not muted, please mute yourself. At the board level, we deal with this every day. Every day, we're dealing with this. Land of Lincoln Pets, President-elect's training seminar, where I was supposed to be next weekend, has canceled. Great Lakes Pets just stopped right in the middle of their pets and sent everyone home. Empire Pets in New York, Director-elect Valerie was there and decided this morning she had to leave. And so she and Mark left Empire Pets. So from a club perspective, it's important, but also from a district perspective, all of the districts that have had their pets canceled are now going to have to do their training locally within their district, some online, hopefully with Zoom, some in person. District assemblies are coming up. District conferences all the way up till May have been canceling. So this tool of Zoom, which in my humble opinion, is better than GoToMeeting, this tool can be incredibly helpful for clubs and districts in order to accomplish the business of Rotary over the next 6 to 8 weeks as we all deal with this pandemic. I know that our president, Mark Maloney, cut his trip in Europe short by 2.5 weeks. He's now in Evanston, as is Holger Kanak. On the international level, we have stopped all international travel for staff for the month of March. I believe that's going to go through April. We're now dealing with what to do with the April board meeting and the April trustees meeting, and it's very possible that those meetings might be either all or partially Zoom meetings for people around the globe who can't get out of their country or afraid if they get out, they won't be able to get back in. Clearly, this is uncharted territory for us. This is unprecedented, what's happening here in the US and around the globe. And so, Brittany, thank you, and Mark, for doing this, because this is a tool that scares a lot of people. It's also a tool, by the way, that clubs can use even once they get back to meeting, because you can Zoom people into a meeting that can't get to it, but you can Zoom them in and they can hear you and they can see you and they can ask questions. And it's just an incredibly valuable tool. And we all need to get more comfortable with it. So Brittany and Mark, thank you for doing this. And I'll leave it there for now, unless anybody has any questions, and turn it back to you, Brittany.
So Jeffrey, I have a question for you right away.
Sure.
You put a comment on Brittany's post about Zoom being offered at a discounted rate for Rotarians, which is fantastic. And I was looking at their rates and I realized that they have different packages. One of them, theoretically, I was thinking, could a district buy a package giving every club in the district access by buying? Because there are some packages that'll give you 10 or 50 hosts. So in theory, a district could buy a 50 host package and share it with clubs in the district.
Yeah, Mark, great question.
You in our district.
What's that, Doug?
That's what we did, District 7080. The district secretary has the account, and whenever we want to have a meeting on Zoom, we just schedule it through him, and he gives us the link.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so Mark, the link.
Yeah, but technically, you're not supposed to do that. But I have a membership, and it's only $120 a year. I mean, I figure it's worth it.
Yeah. The link that I posted on the post announcing this session that we're doing now, if you go to Rotary Global Awards, at a 20% discount on Zoom. So, why not take advantage of that? I posted that link on my page. You can share it wherever you want. But Rotary Global Awards is offering a 20% discount on Zoom. Good question, Mark.
And you can also get free access to an account, which limits you to 45 minutes. But they don't seem to police that very well, because our club uses that one sometimes. And we've gone up to an hour without any repercussions on the free pen.
Okay, so I think what we should do now, we kind of wanted this to be more of like a how-to session, because obviously there's so much potential. Like, imagine that now your opportunities for speakers have just increased by the globe, that you can, invite speakers and they can be anywhere in the world. And additional to the fact that we can web host it, we can post this online, Zoom has an embedded function that it records the meeting. And this is incredible documentation, because if somebody says to you, why should I go to a Rotary meeting? You can just direct them and say, well, this was our last meeting. And they get to see the kinds of people that, join, and they can see how exciting some of the speakers are. So in terms of growth potential, there's a lot. So what Mark and I wanted to do was more or less walk through, how do I go from 0 through to a Zoom meeting? So Mark, you're new to Zoom, so maybe it might be even valuable to learn from someone new, because I've been using Zoom for a long time now, but maybe you can share your learnings.
Sure, thanks, Brittany. So first up, I guess.
One for you. What's step one?
So I guess first up, I should highlight that what Doug said before about the 40-minute free meeting. That's what we're on right now. So when we get to 40 minutes, if we get there, this is going to cut out. But apparently, you can then log back in. So it's actually not that big a deal if you just decide to stay on the free account. Longer term, I think the paid account makes sense. Once you've got your account set up, one person in the club needs to be the holder of the account. But as long as that person logs in, they can hand over control of the screen and that sort of thing to anyone in the room. So
a workaround that, Mark, would be you register an email address called Rotary Club of Media, whatever, at gmail.com, right? Okay. And the password is Paul Harris 1904, right? Okay. And everyone knows. So so there's one account, but actually all of the members can utilize it.
Yeah. So look, for example, with this little gathering now, after Brittany and I had spoken yesterday, I opened up my Zoom app on my computer, and I grabbed the link to my Zoom room, which I'd set up, and I posted it on Facebook. I sent Brittany a calendar invite, which is a very, very useful function for people in Rotary clubs who haven't tried that yet. It's the best way of making sure people don't miss their meetings. And by sending that calendar invite out to every member of your club, telling them what time they've got to be there at the meeting. My club's a breakfast meeting. People could come in their pajamas if they wanted to. And you can sit there like we do with our coffee at the meeting in the club room. We can sit there with our coffee at the at our Zoom meeting as well. So the fellowship component still stays quite strong as far as I'm concerned.
And Mark, I think the calendar point is so important, really, because you can add in, or you can link your work email address. So then when do I have meetings? So you don't have that, what's my Rotary schedule, what's my work schedule, you can have that with one overview.
Yeah.
All right.
So are you able to show people online, like on screen now, how you would do that?
Right. So I will now share my screen, and you guys let me know when you can see.
Yep, can see that.
All right. So what I would do,
How did you do that? How did you do that?
Okay. These are wonderful questions, because these are questions that I'm not aware of, because I just log on. So if you have questions like this, like, hang on, where did that come from? Definitely raise your hand, just like Mark did, let me know. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go to the Zoom page. So depending on where that is, you can just go to Google, and then you say, so if anyone interested, this recently have actually exploded. So if you want to buy some Zoom shares, now is a really good time. So if you go to Zoom, hang on a second, my internet just hung. Okay, and so if you don't know what it is, just type in Zoom in Google and it'll come up here. The actual link is called zoom.us. So what I do is I click on here. This will bring me to a page that looks like this. Depending on where you are and things like that, it might be a little bit, the website might be different, but this is what it looks like. Then we go sign up, it's free. So we're going to use an email address. Let's use I think I don't have this registered, this email address. So let's use my email address. A good way around here, as Mark said, is if you wanted to have a club email address, you can either call it Rotary Club of whatever, or you can call it, or you want to give it to your secretary. The only thing is why I would encourage people to have a club account is because often in Rotary, our information flow stops, not because we don't want people to know things, but because there's like bottlenecks. So unless you can get on, you can connect with a secretary and they have the password, sometimes you can't log into that account. And we've all had these kinds of issues. Oh no, actually only our president has that, or only our secretary that knows that. So if we try to create club email addresses, and we aggregate this information as well as the passwords, it makes things a little bit easier for everyone else, and it also shares the load. So then I type in my email address, then I go sign up, and that's it. So then it says, okay, we've sent an email to brittany.a.arthur@gmail.com. Click the information. Okay, so this means I need to log into my email account. I have many Gmails, so just hang on 1 second while I log into my actual account. Okay, it's opening up now, and then I'm waiting for an email to come through. Maybe I haven't. So it's here. You did not. Okay, so Brittany, this is all correct. Okay, it just needed a second. So it came through on my phone now, which meant I just had to wait. So if anyone's wondering why it didn't happen immediately, give it 2 minutes or so. Then it says here, hello, brittany.arthur@gmail.com. Welcome to Zoom. To activate your account, please click the button below to verify email address. So then I click activate account. And then here, welcome to Zoom. So let me go like this. So this is my first name and my last name. So of course I will never be able to remember that password, so forget that. I'm going to call it Paul Harris 1904. And then here. Okay. My password doesn't match it. All right. Still doesn't match? You sure? Okay, let me double check here. Okay, there we go, continue. Then I want to save my password. Great. So this now means that I am in my Zoom. This means that I'm in my Zoom account. So invite your colleagues. Maybe you don't need this because this would be useful, for example, if you wanted to, you know, send it to your president or things like that. But if you're just going to have one account, don't worry about that and go to skip this step. Okay. The best thing about Zoom is that you essentially have this ID, which is the ID is the last numbers of your account. And the ID, it's essentially like giving someone your phone number. Imagine that you're like, call me on this number and this is your account. So there's, it's a personalized number. So what we want to do is we want to schedule a meeting. So we have a couple of options here where we go schedule a meeting, join a meeting. So we want to go schedule a meeting. So I'm going to call it, what do we want to, so if we call it Rotary weekly meeting of whatever, Rotary, what do we want to call it? Rotary Club of whoever. So for example, like my old club, which was like Berlin International. This is, for example, description, but we don't need that. And this is the, let's just say, for example, my meeting is next Friday at 5 p.m. The duration is 1 hour, and we are in Germany. So let me see where the Germany time zone is. So we just essentially just scroll through. Are we going the other way? Maybe here we go. Like here we go. Lisbon, London. Okay, there we go. So that's the time zone. And you can tick, for example, if it's a recurring meeting or not. This would be useful. Obviously, you guys can match this according to your Rotary Club needs. So for example, if you meet once a week, or if you meet every 2 weeks, or wherever you meet, put it here. I know, for example, my Rotary Club in Berlin, we meet once a month. We have a Friday meeting, which is the meeting that I set now, or a Friday afternoon, and usually we're a breakfast club. And then the end date, so you can maybe, I would set this just for the Rotary year at least, or maybe even like 6 months in advance, because, you don't want to set something that's running, endlessly and you don't know how to turn it off. So then we go here, do we want a meeting password or not? So this means you can share the link, and if people need a password, you can give them this password. If you don't need the password, then you simply uncheck this box. So, password, click, no password, unclick, right? Then we go down to video, which is, I would set these to off because people can then choose to turn their video on. I think it's just simply online manners to let people turn their own video on rather than having them turn their video off. And then here, another thing also that's maybe good to know about Zoom is that obviously the online component, that you can see each other is really great. But for whatever reason, let's just say you're in your car or you're driving or whatever, and you don't want to use your data, you can call in by phone as well. So we allow telephone and computer audio, leave that on both. Enable to join before host. I would recommend against doing this, simply because, if you want, it's kind of like being at a Rotary meeting, and when a guest turns up and there's no one from the club there, and you're like, oh gosh, is this the right place? Am I supposed to be here? You know what I mean? So you don't know. So I would leave that off. Mute participants upon entry. Actually, that's a really great idea. Let's do that, because some people don't know that their mics are on. They don't know that the dog next door is actually very loud, whatever. The enable waiting room. Enable the waiting room just basically means that while people are waiting, that they see a blank screen. And then record the meeting automatically on the local computer, which means the local computer means the computer that you are using, right? And
Brittany, I got a question.
Go for it.
In that waiting room, can you put up a default message saying, stand by, the program's going to start at 7 p.m. or some such thing?
I don't know, but I could imagine you must. I'm not sure. But does anyone know that? I'm not sure. I can look into that.
What we usually do is start the meeting early and just put up a sign in front of the camera.
Yeah.
One
But
second,
this
Doug.
would be,
I'm getting a highly qualified technical information.
Writing PowerPoint and share the screen.
Ah, okay.
From the cost.
Okay, so the technical advice that I just received was you can open up PowerPoint and then say the meeting is going to start and leave that on. So for example, if I go like, if I want to open up like PowerPoint, so for example, if I say now, like meeting will begin in like 10 minutes, right? And then like make it nice, make it that it's your club, whatever. And then I just do this. And then that's what you can see as well. Right? So that's also like another option. All right.
Brittany,
Then,
one thing here, I don't know how much longer we've got left, and maybe you can tell me how to find that out. It says recording, doesn't say
20.
how long.
20. No, so it records for the entire
But I'm on a free
poll.
account.
So
I'm on a free account, which will theoretically cut out at 40 minutes.
no worries. We've still got 20 minutes left. All
Cool.
good. So then we go save, right? And then I go add to my Google Calendar here, right? Which is my own calendar. But what's important is we want to share this, right? We want to share this. So then we go copy the invitation here. And this is when we go copy meeting invitation. And then we can take this and you can send it to your like, for example, maybe you have like a Berlin like forum or something. For example, we have a few accounts with our board, Rotary Club mailing list is, and then you copy and paste it and say, there you go, this is our meeting, and then you send it off. And then all the participants need to do is go into Zoom. So for example, is go into Zoom and then log in, and then the meeting will be there. I can't log in right now because I'm in this meeting, and then that'll be like a little bit confusing. But that's it. So exactly as you guys logged in today, and that's all it is. And of course, there's elements of personalization, like Doug, like what you mentioned, like how can we make it, a little more, the meeting will start in 10 minutes or whatever. But the main thing is that when you're in a Zoom call, is that you utilize the chat. So for example, if we go here, let me go back. Let me stop sharing this for 1 second. Stop, new share. We're going to stop sharing this. And I'm going to share okay, so if we go here, cancel. So I'm going to share now my desktop. And a really nice thing is to make sure that we utilize our chat. So for example, we go here, that you say, how is every body, or, and you try to encourage people to like interact in the chat, which is also a nice thing. So for example, if you're like having a speak and you have someone has a question, you can also, for example, if I go, can you guys see how, for example, I can say here, for example, I can say, hi, everyone, and that goes to everyone. But if I need, for example, to ask Jeffrey a question, I can say, like, let's catch up about this later. Then I don't have to, tell everybody, for example. And then whoever's on the call, you can talk with them. So then you can see here if it's a private message or if it's to everyone. And so I would really encourage to use the chat, because that's what Mark mentioned with the fellowship still being really important. It's by using things like a chat room or hi, or even things like if I go, maybe I want to send like a file or I have a picture or something like that. You just got a 10-minute warning. Perfect. So Mark just sent me a message
for that.
Yeah, so Mark just sent me a private chat message, but you guys will see it because it's in the screen. Just got a 10-minute warning. This is perfect if you have a speaker, and then you can say like 5 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean, etc. So this is also really exciting. In terms of how we then go forward, I would say start easy, start really easy, start like with the free account. And then as your members, or as you get a little bit more used to it, reach out to Jeffrey, reach out to me. Actually, don't reach out to Jeffrey. You can reach out to me. Don't reach out to Jeffrey. Reach out to me or Mark, and then just ask, hey, what are our options with, you know, pricing, or what do you do? Like, for example, who else said that they had their own account and it was $120 a year? I have the same thing, but I use that because I also use it with my business. But you know, it's not expected that every Rotarian hands out $120. You know, maybe someone already has it that they can use, or maybe you invest as a club. It was Ariane, right? You were the one.
Yeah. Well, I'm the Interact chair for the district, so I use it for Interact, and I belong to a passport club, so we use it for the passport meetings, and I got a member recently from Malta, and he wanted to Skype, and I said I don't do Skype anymore, but I Zoom.
I like it. I like that. We Zoom. Do you? I like it.
Yeah. So it totally works.
Yeah, and so this is essentially it. So the 40-minute version is the free version, but if you have like a paid version, what I have, you can have up to 500 people. So that's when you can, that's when, for example, you can connect, like if you're in Interact or Rotaract or, your youth exchange, you can say, once, Friday evenings or Thursday evenings or something, all the youth exchange students should, jump online because we just want to check how everyone's going. And obviously in some of the locations like Australia and the US, there's huge districts, right? So, this is a way that you don't have to pick up the phone or drive around. So this is simply the beginning of how we use it. I would say don't ram it down people's throats. I would just try to compare it to like a telephone call or like just a normal call just with video. And then you'll see now that this recording here, on the top left-hand side of your screen, and then we can share this. So instead of having, to say the same thing 120 times, like, oh, we talked about this last week at our meeting or things like that, you can just say our update on polio or our update on the district conference or our update on XYZ is posted online. So go and have a look at it. So things like that.
Brittany, it's Jeffrey. So for clubs who can't now meet, you can use this because you could get everyone on Zoom and have a club meeting. If your club is meeting, you could have Zoom at your meeting and people could Zoom into your meeting that's being held. Yes. If you're a governor, you could put all of your club presidents on Zoom and have a monthly or a quarterly meeting with all of your club presidents. Perfect. My colleague on the board, David Stovall from zones 33, 34, he's like a master on Zoom. He has quarterly meetings with all of his district governors, like 40 of them. He has meetings with all of his coordinators on Zoom. Ariane is from Zone 24, soon to be Zone 28, so is Doug. We use Zoom for meetings for Zone Institute planning. So it's endless how you can use this to have face-to-face meetings with people that you need to connect with during this current pandemic and then even after this pandemic.
Exactly. And today, the idea was more or less to show, not simply, we wanted to obviously touch on why it's such a great, why there's so much potential, but also we wanted to get down in the nitty gritties, like, okay, tell me, how do I sign up? What do I then do? How do I copy and paste a meeting? So if it's interesting, go and share it with your clubs. And if it's interesting, maybe we can do like a few more tutorials on like exactly how to set it up and how it's specifically relevant to your club. But with the last 4 minutes, 38 seconds, I will hand it back to Mark. Is there anything on your side?
Yeah, I had one question I had is if you've got a meeting going on where you've got some people on screen and some sitting in the room, which I think is something that may well happen.
Can we mute everyone? I think there's another person.
Someone's falling asleep.
Someone fell asleep.
Just like a normal Rotary meeting.
So if you've got people in the room and people online, then what I'm wondering is how do you get the people who are online, how do you get them up on the presentation screen? And can they see everyone else in the room?
Do you mean like how I can see the people's faces now?
Well, you
So
can
we-
see us all now
Yeah.
'cause we're all online. But let's say we've got a meeting taking place where half the members have turned up at the meeting and the other half decide they just want to log in on
Sure.
Zoom.
Mhm.
I guess I can, if I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation, I guess I can
Yeah.
project this monitor we're now looking at with all the faces up on the screen there.
Right.
Can they also see the people in the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark,
It's difficult. Our district has been trying to do that, and well, for one thing, the place where we're meeting doesn't have great internet. But I've recently found out that I can use my Skyroam as a dedicated internet provider, and hopefully that will work.
Mhm.
I got stuck in my driveway because of a snowstorm, and I did zoom in on the team training meeting. You see some of the people in the room, but unless somebody keeps turning the monitor on the computer, you don't see everybody.
Yeah. So I would just say in a meeting, have a laptop and, just as the secretary, like kind of like would take notes. And obviously this is being recorded, so they don't have to take notes. Just kind of like turn the computer around. Obviously, if you are an e-club and they're like a little more advanced, they have like, 360 cameras or whatever. But I think we just have to be, in order for us to implement this on an accessible level, let's not make it, let's keep the Northern Star in mind. Like, let's think about how we can, improve the visual experience. But also, I think it's important to just get started, as well. So I would encourage to go both ways. Let's think about how we can improve our technology. Maybe your club wants to invest in a 360 camera. Maybe your club wants to invest in like a portable Wi-Fi, so you don't have and mentioned at location. But yeah, we have less than a minute because this is a free account. I can send mine, but I think this is more or less it, unless anyone has any.
Quick question, Brittany, on the free account with Zoom, what's the limit in terms of participants? I went to go to meeting years ago, so.
I'll have to follow that one up for you, but I
It's
know the
100.
paid account is 5.
Well, we can look
It's
it up.
100. Yeah.
It's 100.
It's 100.
On the
All right.
free account,
Yep.
Yes.
Let's just keep this going and see how long it goes
Well,
before it
let's
cuts us
find out
off.
when they
That's
cut us
true.
out.
But this is
it
more or
won't cut
less-
out. It won't cut out. What it'll do is whoever started this meeting will get a message saying, click here to upgrade.
I'm getting the
Oh,
upgrade
okay, yeah,
message
sure.
at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to tempt me to spend some of my hard-earned money.
Yeah. All right. So this is basically it. I would just say, for those of us who logged in today that are, I would say, adopters of technology, maybe just show them this conversation. And I'm sure that Mark, either you can post this link,
Yeah.
either in our chat or maybe even in the Facebook chat, whichever works for you.
Yeah. I'll
And
send you the link.
just share them that it's not scary. It's easy. It's actually not much different than really logging into Facebook. And Rotarians have got exceedingly good at that over the last couple of years. Exceedingly good, exceeding all of our expectations.
Hey, Brittany, this is Jeffrey. Thank you for doing this. Let's do another one. With more lead time. I just got this up on my Facebook page today. How about if we do another one, and we'll have more lead time sometime maybe next week? What do you think?
You bet. Yeah, the idea was like